This week we've left the rifles at home to chase the humble rabbit on the Duke of Blacqueu's estate in the Scottish borders. Byron follows Steve Gray, seasoned ferreter Derek Parrott and his friends. Though Derek's preferred method for ferreting is using nets, today Steve is on hand with a shotgun to take down any bolt-in bunnies. Before any action begins, it's time to fit the ferrets with a tracking collar. That'll come in handy later if they refuse to surface. We've also equipped Steve with a head cam to capture some first-person action. However, early sport is not forthcoming, and Derek is forced to use his ferret finder to search for an errant polecat that has gone to ground. It's only the first hole, but there's no choice. They'll have to employ the spade and dig the ferret out. Fortunately, they've brought more than one ferret, so while Derek carries on digging, the rest of the group head off to the next bury. The ferret is sent down the hole to do the business, and Steve waits for his first shot of the day. And suddenly, one has emerged and is racing off. He swings the shotgun, but his shot misses and the rabbit escapes. Steve can't escape though, and gets some gentle ribbing from the onlookers.
Taking up landscaping? I missed it, eh? Aye. After all that work, eh?
Moving on to the next hole, Steve is joined by the estate's grousekeeper, Stuart Davey. The pressure is now on, no more missing. The ferret initially goes to ground, but a commotion below the surface signals the game is on. Stuart has brought a browning to deal with the rabbit problem, and he quickly gets a chance to put it to the test. It's the first rabbit of the day, and the kill goes to Stuart, but Steve is able to redress the balance just moments later. Two rabbits in the bag and it's time to move on, but the subterranean members of this party aren't so keen to head off. It's back to digging. However, the ferrets start to move and the action comes thick and fast. The shooters are soon feeding the shotguns a rapid diet of Ely cartridges, and rabbits go down one after another, but they're all to Stuart's browning. Steve is just an observer. The ferrets are easily retrieved and the rabbits swell the bag. It's time to head to the final hole of the day. We've swapped the head cam in case this was putting Steve off his shooting. Any excuse, hey? Derek places the polecat down the hole for the last time and a final rabbit falls to Steve. Stuart graciously letting him boost his tally for the day.
Derek, you've been ferreting a long time. Can you tell me how long and how did it all start for you?
Well, I'm 75 years old now, and I purchased my first ferrets when I was 13 years old. I'd been out with other guys previous to that, but that was the first time, and I paid 10 shillings, which is 50 pence in the currency now, for the two ferrets. After a number of years, I done national service, and then I got back into the ferreting again. And it's been a good service for the farmers, because 8 rabbits is the equivalent of 1 sheep on the land eating the grazing. So they're delighted with the rabbits that we catch.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. What is it about ferreting that just fascinated you and made you want to do it for your whole life?
Well, I've always been an outdoor person, but you see more than catching rabbits when you're out. You see foxes, you see birds, you see all the different types of wildlife, and I can settle when I go back home after being out all day.
Yeah. What are the perfect conditions for ferreting?
The perfect conditions is no wind, in a good sunny dry day. And you can hear the rabbits getting chased under the holes. You can hear them running around with the ferrets chasing them. And I usually net them and catch them in purse nets.
Okay. And your best day?
I've had 45 2 or 3 times. I've never been able to hit the 50, but I've had 30 many a times.
Can you tell me a little bit about the ferrets you use? You breed your own?
I breed my own and I swap with my friend Colin if we want to change, and we can bring in a different breed. And the ferrets that we're using today are polecats.
Okay.
And you can get a cross with a polecat and a white ferret, and it comes out ginger in colour. And you can get the albino ones, and they've got pink eyes. These ones have got black, dark eyes with polecats.
So what do you look for in a good ferret for ferreting?
Well, a one that comes to hand. And because the ferrets, if you handle them regularly, they're just like kittens. And once you try them, it's natural for them just to chase the rabbits.
And some days you get it where they just don't want to bolt.
Occasionally, yes. And
what is the reason for that?
I don't know. It's just one of these things. And some days I've seen me putting the nets on and the rabbits were bolting before I even put the ferret in the hole.
And we've seen you today using a finder so that you could locate the ferrets. Can you tell me how that works?
Well, there's a collar on the ferret and you've got the locator. You turn it on and it gives a clicking sound. And when you turn it down and when it cuts out and you put it back on again, that tells you where it is and the depth it is under the ground.
And how often do you find yourself digging
Well,
ferrets?
sometimes quite often, but sometimes it's only about that much.
Yeah.
Today it was very stony and it was very difficult to dig.
With all the rabbits paunched, the ferrets recovered and the guns safely in the truck, it's time to head home after a successful excursion to the Blackua State rabbit warrens.